Welcome back to the dopest show you won't get sick of. I'm Spencer. This is Sasha. Spent most of my 20s in federal prison, but I've been off heroin since April 9, 2010. Got a lot of stories about the dumb stuff I did to get put in prison. I've also got a lot of stories about the crazy stuff that happened while I was in prison. And God forbid you end up in prison, want to make some of the same mistakes I made. So, shot caller was a term I heard when I first got to the low. And I thought it was just somebody being corny. Because shot caller, that just sounded corny to me. Who talks like that? You mean like the boss, the leader? But they actually used that word, shot caller. And didn't see it as much at the low. They were there, but there wasn't as much stuff going on to where it was noticeable. At the medium, it was known who the leader of each group was. And it was something that you'd see if a new one came into power. A lot of times you'd see that person change. Now, sometimes that could be good. I've seen some people that were a little bit more immature that instantly became mature, got it together, because it's not just, making a few rulings and stuff like that. It's literally the weight of their whole group's existence. If they don't do stuff a certain way, it threatens the whole existence of their group from getting taken out of that yard. Especially if they're a smaller group, against somebody that's got numbers. Let's say Pisces, which is a gang for people not in a gang. For the Mexicans, it's just Mexicans. The Pisces were that, and then Sureños was the other group. Only two groups there. But the Pisces had numbers. Had the numbers over everybody else, and they would respond accordingly if there was an issue. And I saw a particular guy put into power as shot caller for the Pisces, and it instantly changed. It went a little bit to his head. See, these people have meetings, they have gatherings, like meals and stuff like that. But they have meetings to talk about their issues. My cellie was number 2 for them, Armando, and he didn't want to be the number 1. He said too many problems, too much BS, he didn't want it. But he was number 2 because there's so many of them, they couldn't all go to this one fella with all their problems, so they had to have a couple people to go to. And once this new guy got made the shot caller of them, being Armando's cellie and him being number 2, I started noticing, from hearing from him, that this guy was getting the power just went way to his head. Every other day he was calling a meeting. What a meeting means is everybody better be out there. You don't show up, you're going to get punished. And he'd call people out there, and he'd talk for a couple hours about nothing. About nothing. And Armando would be like, it's stupid. He talks about nothing over and over again. With the guy before him, that didn't happen. I know because he's my cellie. And he'd complain about having to go out, and it was regular. And there were so many different little things that happened with it that I personally saw. But something else is shot caller has a lot of power. They can literally have one of their own removed. Sometimes they get removed if their people think that they're not doing an adequate job, which happens, but it's more rare. That's kind of like the equivalent of a king getting taken out of power by an uprising. There has to be all kinds of behind-the-scenes whispers, because if the people doing the whispering get found out, they'll be the ones that get handled. So that's less common. But something else that people don't really know, I don't think, or talk about, is when there's an issue. The prison police know there's an issue. Something's going on, two groups have a problem. A lot of time they'll call the shot callers in and ask them, okay, is it okay if this guy comes back out? What's going on? And they never go to the lieutenant's office alone. They have to have somebody go with them. That's the rules. Can't go talk to the police alone. That's not allowed. They have to have a second person to vouch for everything they said. Now, sometimes, something I saw that happened was if the prison police didn't like the response and couldn't work something out, like they were pushing for something to happen and the shot caller was like, nope, we ain't having that. In that case, they lock the shot caller up, even if he doesn't have nothing to do with it. Even if it's one of his people that has an issue with somebody else. They get locked up just because they're the leader of that group. And that's kind of like their way of trying to break down the power infrastructure. So it's a dangerous job for one, because if they're not doing it right, there could be an uprising, they could be taken out. If with the prison police, they can get locked up for no reason. There are people got locked up for months on end in the hole for just because an issue one of their people had that they weren't saying something they liked. And there were times that they didn't even come to them and ask them. They just come get them and lock them up. Of course, somebody new is going to step into power, but if there's a really good leader, especially if they're charismatic or, good at doing what they do, they just come scoop them up and put them in the hole. And that's something that I saw a number of times. It was different group to group. There was one of a group, I'm not going to say just because, certain things you might say certain people might not like. But there was one group, big guy, immature though, immature as could be. But he'd been to a USP before. And he'd put in work, meaning he'd handled stuff of a serious nature, removing people at that USP. Also, he'd been in prison for a pretty long time. Even though he was still young, say early 30s, he'd been in prison the majority of his adult life. He was immature as could be. Drinking the tomato wine. There was one time he even was drinking the tomato wine out in the pod, and he pooped his pants a little bit. Some fell down the side of his leg. And the CO told him go to his cell, had a cool CO. That's part of the reason I'm not mentioning this, but of what group it is. I don't want to offend anybody, so no group has been mentioned, no name, no nationality, no clue as to who this could be. But went from that, drinking, going doo-doo on himself in the pod, to getting put in this position of power, and overnight, he grew up. He's handling stuff, people come to him, and, I've seen it a number of times with people from other groups. They go to that person, shotgun, and they say, listen, I got an issue with your person right here. I want a one-on-one. That means a one-on-one fight. It's a sanctioned fight. You can't just go fight them. They're part of the group. They're protected. So you arrange a fight. Okay? If both parties agree and there's nothing that can be concluded, that happens a lot. Happened with every group but the Pisces. The Pisces didn't do that. They had a one jump, all jump policy. I didn't agree with that. I thought that was stupid and wrong, that they didn't allow their people one-on-ones. Armando, he wanted to do a one-on-one. He tried to do that with somebody before, and they're like, nah, it's the way it's been. It's the way it's always been. You can't do that. But this other guy who I'm speaking about that got put into power, it was literally overnight. You saw a complete change in him. Complete maturity. He'd been in prison. He'd been there, done that. But he was bumbling around, acting crazy, drinking, everything else. You didn't see that anymore. Didn't see that not one bit anymore once he got put in his position of power. And there are certain incidents that he handled maturely, and he kept a whole lot of stuff from happening. See, their job, that's the thing it's a little bit less focused on. People think that's a person that sends, they get one of their own removed, they are responsible for, taking somebody out. But what really happened that I saw more than anything else was they were responsible for making sure bad things didn't happen. They were responsible for finding peaceful resolution where everybody could be happy, discipline one of their own if that should be necessary. And they did more keeping together that I witnessed than I would ever say harm to other groups, to each other, any of that. And that's something that you might not have guessed. You might have guessed they were just a force to be reckoned with. They're pointing the finger, then people go after the person. No. They generally try to have good relations with every group. Don't want to have a beef with any group, because just that tension in the air, it just takes that one person to have a problem with another group, start that tension, and then a second person from the group have a problem with another group member, and it starts a whole thing. Of course, at a medium security, but people were still serious about their stuff, and serious stuff did happen. And something that was unique about Petersburg Medium was, you had people, it was a big program place, you did have the weirdos and all that stuff, but they never locked that place down, ever. because they had to appear to have control. There were serious things where there were rumbles, like talking 30-man fights, and they'd have the compound back open 2 hours later. At a serious medium, at a USP, I've heard of them locking the compound down for 2-3 months at a time until stuff cools down. Just that could happen. Well, because they had to appear to have things under control, because, that's what they were supposed to be doing there, they wouldn't do that. And because of that, sometimes stuff would happen back to back. A lot more stuff than you would guess at that place. It's very surprising. It's something I've heard from other people on other channels too, talking about it. Certain places like that, And one of the things that one of the shot callers told me, the Serranos told me, who is a very good friend of mine, told me that Petersburg Medium was the most dangerous prison he'd been in. And I'm like, dude, you've been to USPs that have been the most serious, most dangerous prisons that there are with, quick response to violence. How could this be the most dangerous prison? He says, because you let your guard down. He says, because you got dang near half the compound at our check-ins, dropouts, chomos from other places, and then you've got half the people there that are local. He says, because of all the people that aren't serious, you let your guard down. He said at the USP, he said they had their guard up every second of every day, ready for anything to happen. But there, their guard was down. And when your guard is down, because there's this, these little freaks walking around. You got people they got that place called Peter Beach, people laid up with each other and everything else. People sometimes forgot, still in prison, there still are serious people here. So when your guard's down, you're more susceptible to get hit. And that was an interesting conversation, the fact that he said that the way he said it. But it made sense. It made sense, because when you're expecting a possible ambush at any second of every day, you keep yourself safe. When you're looking around at all this foolishness that's going on at this twilight zone of a prison, you're not. And I'm telling you, it'd be silent, it'd be quiet for a little bit, and all of a sudden, right beside you, I can't tell you how many times, somebody had their jaw broken, 10 foot away from me, just out of nowhere. Both people were just walking calmly, then whop. I was like, whoa, jump back, get out of the way. Don't look at it, because if you're seen looking at it, they got it on the cameras, and they question you about it, and you say, I didn't see anything. Well, the camera shows you looking at it, so you can either tell us what happened or you're going to go to the hole. I learned from people as soon as I got there, one of the talking tos I got was, if something happens, don't look at it. And I didn't. There's somebody less than probably 20 foot away from me. 3 guys jumped on him, poking him up. And I just kept walking the track, kept my eyes forward, because they try to intimidate and threaten people into being witnesses. And with that threat, some people do. It's obvious who does, though, because if they pull people in, question over a situation, and they let them right back out, well, it's pretty obvious what just happened. If they pull people in, they go to the hole for a few weeks. They kept their mouth shut. That's pretty much how it was. And there were people that got pulled in and let right back out, and then they got checked in shortly after, because everybody knew what happened. But the leadership structure of each group, I saw some bad ones. And bad ones, everything runs funky. I'm telling you, it's a weird sight to behold, because you'd guess it's a bad thing. But with some of these groups and some of these people, they kept the peace about them. I understood it, I respect it, but it's a weird concept, just wish. And that one talk that, Serrano gave me about how people let their guard down at that place, it really blew my mind. It twisted me whenever I heard that. But anyway, that was just a little brief explanation on something I figured I'd mention. They spend more time doing the annoying stuff. They spend more time having the aggravating, arguing people coming to them complaining because they've got a problem. And they have to solve that problem. They have to deal with the drama. They have to deal with the gossip, the BS, and all that. They have to deal with the annoying stuff that probably never seems to end. Because by doing that, they're keeping their people safe. They're keeping stuff from happening bad. And that's the part people don't see, that I saw because I was close friends with a few of them. You know, did burpees with the AB leader, Sillies with Serrano leader, Sillies with number 2 for the Pisces. Seeing them and what they dealt with people coming to them every day. Somebody owes them a debt. Somebody said something they shouldn't have. Somebody cut the line, and it might have been 10 people they cut. Got this one flight circling right now, and I guess the light, where I've got all the lights off, but this one light on, I keep getting past. Sorry about that, but yeah, that's something people don't see. They don't see all the stuff behind the scenes that they have to deal with, and it's a lot. Oh, it's never-ending drama they have to deal with. Felt bad for them, really did. It's enough to make somebody go crazy to have a different person come to you every day, and you have to resolve an issue. You have to go chew one of your own out. You have to tell them, no, we're not going to do this, or yes, we can do this, or whatever. But anyway, if you like the video, press the like button. If not, I've wasted 16 minutes and 4 seconds of your time. Have a good evening.